No intro again. Adam Bates in the mud, and the show is 2 seconds old. Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Chris Dolan and Omar. This show is proudly sponsored by Luke Roper. If you want to pretend to be a motor car driver like me, you can use the code TVV20 and you'll get 20% off all their goods, including this top. So go nuts, go and spend some money with Luke. Hopefully the guys will appear on screen in a second so I can ask them how they are.
Yeah, there we go.
Dolan, you good? Mother-in-law coming
Yeah,
around in a bit. Bad news
new
usually, but
beer.
you're okay about it.
Clock watching. No, she's cool, man. She's cool. Shout out to Liz, the mother-in-law, with her sister Heather.
Hi, Liz.
Oh, Liz,
Yes,
yeah,
Liz.
friend of the channel, Liz.
Friend of the channel. So yeah, all good, man. First time she's seen the new house as well. So exciting.
Lovely. That is good.
Yes.
Are you good?
Good, mate. Yeah, all good. No networking event today.
That's good.
So I've been free. I've been in a meeting in Nottingham, and then
lovely.
chilling.
Lovely.
So yeah, I'm ready. I'm prepared today.
I mean, you're the only one of the three of us that is prepared because I'm feeling quite tired, and Dolan, he's on edge with the mother-in-law coming to see his new house. Doesn't know whether she's going to like it or not.
Well, I was out last night with
and he was out last night,
and then I'm up at 5 a.m. So you see, glamours down in this London town. Do you know what I mean? So,
it's very true. Very true. Let's make a start then. Omar, Watkins and Mings in the England squad. No Esri Konsa again. Not sure what that guy has to do to get a call up from Gareth Southgate, but I'm sure he is in his thoughts somewhere. Someone sent me a great tweet the other day saying Konsa's even had a couple of cameos at right back to try and get into Southgate's head, and he still hasn't got in the squad. But good to see Mings in there as usual. Watkins maybe a little bit of a surprise given that he hasn't scored yet this season. He's had trouble with injuries at the start of the season, but he obviously made an impression on Gareth Southgate at the back end of last season.
Yeah, I was surprised, really surprised he got in the squad because I don't think he's well, it's been a bit of a weird start for him. I think he's so important to our team, and you've sort of seen that in terms of his build-up play and what he brings to the team. But in terms of his finishing and what he does in the box, I don't think he's been firing at all. And we sort of saw that against Man United and also to I suppose a bit in Chelsea as well when he missed a couple of chances as well. So I was surprised he was included because, like I said, he's not been firing. But I think it shows that Watkins is very much in Southgate's thoughts. He would have been picked if he wasn't injured instead of Bamford. I think Watkins brings so much to a team. I think Southgate sees that. Obviously, he likes players who press from the front, and as Dino likes to say, Watkins is the best presser in the league in terms of being a striker. So I think Southgate likes that, and he is always a goal threat. So I think it's Andorra and Hungary he's going to be playing against potentially. So great chance for him to add to his goal tally. He scored against San Marino in his debut. So great for him, great for Villa. Shame for Konsa, big shame for Konsa. I think Man United was the first time he was dribbled past this season, and I think pretty much he went the whole season last year, pretty much all near enough without getting dribbled past. And that just it's one stat, but it shows you what kind of defender he is. He just knows how to defend. He's always in the right place, right time. Rolls Royce of a defender, as we know, effortless when it comes to defending. So it's a shame. I'm surprised he wasn't included, but it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's his ability to play out from the back. Maybe that's something to do with it. I don't know. Although I think he's been fairly good in that front for us, especially in that back three. So he's got to keep working at it, keep going, and hopefully he'll get his chance. I'm surprised Conor Cody got in, given how he started. I mean, I really like Conor Cody.
I think he's in for his leadership, isn't he, Cody? More than anything, and how he is around the place.
Yeah, I get that, but I think if you're going to make changes or give people opportunity, these are kind of games you give them an opportunity. And there's so many leaders in that team already. Do you need another one? I don't know, but I mean, I like Conor Cody. I've no issues against him, but I just don't think he started the season that well. But as we know, Southgate likes to reward players who've done well for him in the past, and that's basically what he's done.
It's kind of a weird one, Dolan, because Tomori has got the call up, and you probably say Konsa maybe deserves it a little bit more than him, whereas Tammy Abraham, banging the goals in for Roma, started really, really well under Mourinho there. I'd say he probably deserves it after the start to the season more than Watkins. So it's kind of the wrong way around for me, the Villa players getting called up.
Yeah, I'll never understand the England setup. I've always said it's not really picked on form. It's picked on players that the manager can trust, players that he likes. As Omar said, Conor Cody versus Ezri Konsa, found that a complete mismatch in terms of players at the top of their game. Wolves have had a very indifferent start. We're really picking up now. And just even based on last season's form, Konza was for me one of the best centre backs in the division. Easily last season, our back five, including the keeper, proved that. So yeah, I'm a little bit miffed at that. Watkins, I saw Southgate today in the press conference. I think he just likes him as a player. He said that when he came into the camp for the first time before the Euros, he just got stuck in. He got stuck in. He just wanted to sort of get involved and make his mark. And he said he was close to being picked for the Euro squad. So I don't, as Southgate alluded to, he's probably not quite there yet in terms of fitness. I said today I was doing a preview for one of the Spurs channels, and I said once Watkins gets one, I think that'll be him. I think he's very close to kickstarting the season. But as we've seen with Watkins, if he doesn't score goals, he just offers so much. He offers so much. Even our front two, Ings hasn't scored since Newcastle, but again, offers so much. Offers both of them. Their work rate is just is second to none. So you could argue for Ings as well. I mean, I don't know. Has Ings retired from international football? No,
no, he's just not picked.
No, it's not picked.
He's probably the wrong kind of age for Southgate, I would say, to be getting a call up now when there's younger strikers about. I think Southgate's always going to favour Watkins over Ings because of age. So
yeah.
I mean, I feel like back to the Conser thing a little bit, Omar. It kind of half feels for Conser now. Like, Maguire's out this time. I thought Joe Gomez being fit, he'd probably get a call up this time. He hasn't got a call up. Ben White and Ben Godfrey have had call ups before him, and maybe needs to change his name to Ben. I don't know. So there's a lot of players there that you would think would be ahead of him. And Conser's obviously got the option to play for Portugal, and we've seen that Matty Cash is looking like he's going to end up playing for Poland. In some ways, there's a better pathway for Conser in Portugal, isn't there? Because their centre backs, Pepe, Jose Font, they're the wrong side of 35, I think. Both of them.
Ruben Diaz.
Go and play for Ruben Diaz. Go and play with Ruben Diaz. So it kind of feels like the pathway is more there for Portugal.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think Matty Cash has probably a closer affinity to Poland than maybe Konza has to Portugal. I think from what I've read, but there's definitely an option for him there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does do that, because if he keeps getting ignored and he's consistently one of the best defenders in the league, which he has been now for a while, then what other option does he have? What else can he do? As you said, he's tried his position at right back, and that hasn't worked. So he can play, a bit like Ben White. Ben White can play right back, centre back, defensive midfield. Konza can fill in two positions as well. He's been one of the best defenders in the league. I don't know what else he can do. So maybe Portugal will be an option for him. I guess we'll see. I've no idea whether that's in his thinking or not. But eventually he'll come to a point where, the guy's going to be one of the best defenders in the league. He's going to be worth 50, 60 million pounds, and he's not going to be an international footballer.
He's kind of gone the route Southgate likes as well. He's played for England at under 20 level. He's played for England under 21 level. So he's a surprise, because that's the route Southgate likes.
And done well.
Yeah.
And done well at those levels.
He's played under 21 tournaments.
Yeah, and I've seen him play really well and started and been sort of the main guy at the back anyway. So I'm surprised he hasn't had a chance. I don't know. Has Southgate ever mentioned his name?
I think he name-checked him once last season, maybe just before Christmas, maybe the last international break before Christmas or just after Christmas.
I'm sure Dina said something about, I've spoken to Southgate and he's very much in his thoughts or something. I remember something like that, but I don't know. It's a shame for him. But I think the most important thing for me as a Villa fan is he continues to do well for us. And less if he doesn't go to England, less chance of him getting poached to somewhere else, because
we've seen that happen.
We've seen that so many times before.
Very, very true.
So that's my thinking at the moment. As long as he's performing well for us, I'm not too bothered. Obviously, from his perspective, is he thinking, do I need to go to a better and bigger club to get in the England squad? Well,
no such thing, Ezra. There's no such thing.
I think exactly. There's the fact his centre back partner is in the England squad means that hopefully he sees that doesn't need to be done. So as long as it's performing well for us, I don't care. I'll be honest.
In other news this week, do you remember a few years ago, Dola, when Purslow came out and said he wanted the under-23s team to be populated full of 17 and 18-year-olds? Well, we've got that now. And they go to Stoke and they win 8-0. So Purslow's got his wish. Everything he said from that kind of perspective has come true. And Villa's youth academy and youth system looks in a brilliant place and looks like it's going to be providing first-team players for years to come, which is an excellent turnaround from where the academy was at before the new regime came in.
It's terrifying, man. Our academy is terrifying. I always thought we had a very good academy back in the late 90s, early 90s. We brought some really, really good footballers through. Some we got rid of that we shouldn't have, and some didn't quite make it. But we've always been affiliated with a very, very impressive youth setup, and we've always brought them through, and we've always given them a pathway. That sort of went out the window under the end of Lerner's regime, because obviously managers were far too afraid to risk playing young players and losing their jobs. So again, give Smith full credit. He'll play if you're good enough. He'll play you. Look at Jacob Ramsey. I mean, I can't believe there's not more people talking about this guy. He is, for me, being one of the standout players in the Premier League. Him and McGinn and Louise have started the season like a house on fire since Louise has come back from international duty. They've been absolutely incredible, and I think Ramsey is certainly one for the future. Well, not one for the future. He's one for now, but he's only going to get better and better and better. Archer's come out of nowhere. To throw Archer on when you're 0-0 on Saturday against United, again, just takes massive courage. We've seen Chukwuemeka, we've seen Bedence. A couple of lads are off playing on loan. Kessler looks like a real talent. Barry's not done much at Ipswich, but we all know he's going to certainly be a future star. So I'm really excited, man. I've said it before. All the best players, majority of the best players in world football playing for their current clubs tend to have come through the youth setup. If you think about it, look at Liverpool with Alexander Arnold's. You look at obviously Messi at Barca, but that was obviously that came to a halt. We had Grealish, Kane. There's so many top players that I think become legends of their clubs have all come through the youth setup. Gerrard, Carragher. I mean, you could name so many. So for me, the way we're going, it's just so clever. It's so clever, and it's financially, it just makes complete sense. I mean, look at Barca. Barca are an absolute shambles. I was watching some post-match analysis with Ferdinand and Crouch and about Barca and Koeman and they're just a mess. They're just an absolute mess. And this has come from just bad management from the top, and we're getting it right. And we're building with youth. And tell me one fan that doesn't love seeing a homegrown player play for their club. I mean, I'd rather have a Jacob Ramsey come through than spend 60 million on a player that doesn't want to be here, doesn't have any affiliation with the club. I'd much rather have youth come through than waste money on mercenaries that just don't want to be at football clubs. So for me, we've just got a perfect blend, and it's only going to get better and better. It's frightening. It is frightening. I think we really are, as I said before. Give it 4 or 5 years, and it'll be something special.
Yeah, but Omar, saying that, following on from what Dolan says, we did kind of all, us included, we all pointed out that we thought we needed a central midfielder, and we did all kind of discount Jacob Ramsey
Got it wrong,
a little bit.
Wrong.
Yeah. I mean, he shows you really, unless you're working at the football club and you know what's going on behind the scenes, you can make some bad shots, because I think every Villa fan would have said we need a central midfielder. I mean, perhaps if we was playing with the three, maybe we still do, because Sanson out injured, we have only got those three in central midfield. I know Chukwuemeka can play as a 10 as well, but Jacob Ramsey's rise and the academy's rise over the last few years, it just all bodes well for the club.
Yeah, definitely. On the midfield point, I think definitely I was there saying we need a DM, we need a central midfielder, or we need someone like James Ward-Prowse. And I did see Jacob Ramsey in preseason and thought, well, he looks
bigger.
He looks like a different beast, bigger. He looks more physically imposing, and he obviously had a decent preseason. But I didn't expect him to be this good. And I think there's been a number of different factors there. So Jacob Ramsey, definitely, he's been so impressive, so physically dominant in a league that is all about physicality. You're coming up against some of the most physical players in world football in the Premier League. Let's not forget, and he's matching those players every game, single game. The most impressive thing for me is his running with the ball as well. He runs at such speed with the ball.
Keeps the ball close to him as well.
Keeps the ball close to him. So hard to tackle against, and that's such a rare skill to have in football. I think the only thing missing from him is obviously that end product, which I'm sure will come, and he's working on. Obviously, he's working on everything. You can see how much he's improved already, and obviously with how our coaches improve players, that's massive. I also think Louise and McGinn have gone on another level. I think they both had poor seasons last year, but they're playing at the very top of their game this year. And McGinn looks fitter. Louise looks fitter. I think Louise, especially the last couple of games against Man United and Chelsea, you've seen how good he can be.
Consistency, isn't it, with
consistent?
Louise,
yeah, exactly. That's for both of them, for McGinn and Louise. I think it's they've started the season so well. It's whether they can continue that form. But I do think Ramsey's helped them massively, and playing in a 3's helped them massively, because they both do struggle in the 2. But being in a 3 where Ramsey has so much energy and he covers them so well, he allows McGinn to get forward so much. Louise gets forward now and again as well. We saw that against Chelsea, obviously, with the assist, and he's got an assist, obviously, against Man United as well. I think that they just complement each other so well, and it's working so well. On the youth side as well, I think, I watched the highlights of the 8-0, and obviously, our youth players are just on another level. Like Philogene Badace, these types of players are probably too good for that level now, and they're sort of knocking on the door. I think there's other players in there as well. I think I'm really, really impressed with. And I'm going to butcher his name. I think I mentioned before, Tim Arogbenham. We signed from West Brom, central midfielder.
I wouldn't have had a clue how to pronounce his name, but I know who you mean.
I'm guessing anyway. But he's just so imposing as a defensive midfielder. Again, he looks like one of these players like Chukwuemeka and Philogene Badace, that they're just too good for that level. And he dominates games as well. So I've been really impressed with him. And just Aaron Ramsey as well, we haven't really mentioned. He's probably more talented of the I think it's 3 brothers.
Yeah, it's 3.
2 of them have played for Villa. He's probably got a brighter future, and if he can have that same work ethic, he's going to be a massive player for us as well. So, we've already got the 4th youngest squad in the league, and the top 4 is pretty close as well. So it's not like we're way off. Sorry, I don't know what that was.
No, I know what you mean. I always point behind me when I'm talking about things that happened in the past. We've all got things that we do.
Yeah. What time is it? Yeah. When you look, I haven't got watch on. And then, that's only going to improve as well with these youngsters coming into the team. And we've seen already. I think I was speaking to a Man United fan the other day at football, and he was like, I was just so impressed with Dean Smith and how ambitious he was and how attacking he was when that it's a 0-0 against Man United.
He's bringing a striker on
in a long time. He's bringing in striker, but not only bringing a striker on, he's bringing in Cameron Archer on,
and Buendia as well,
and Buendia on, and he's bought Chukwuemeka, Philogene Badace, and games where it's been 0-0 or been winning 1-0 or been losing, and he's trying to change the game. He's not afraid to make those brave decisions. And that's how players learn. That's how they, you throw them into the fire. It's like any environment. You throw people into the fire, and the best players, those players who be successful, they come out fire. They come out smelling of roses almost. That's the kind of players that you want. And we've mentioned, Dolan's mentioned there about that natural path from youth to senior team. Cameron Archer, is an example where it can work slightly differently, where they look a bit lost and look like they're not going to reach the heights that you thought they would, and then suddenly out of nowhere, they sort of develop, or something happens, they get a bit of luck, and that confidence builds, and then suddenly they take a different route to the first team almost, and that's been great to see as well. So really, really positive. I mean, I don't know what else you can say really. There's not much to moan at really at this present time, because it's just working on all fronts, and these last couple of weeks especially have been, I think 2-3 weeks ago we were all a little bit down, because it was obviously a bit of a rough start.
I didn't ever really feel like that, to be honest. I just felt that there were circumstances of why that was happening. It was injuries.
I mean, I did as well, but I still was obviously hoping for better. And I think the natural feeling of the fan base was, not maybe down is a bit too strong of a word, but just wanted a better start. But I think these last couple of weeks is just, since the Chelsea performance, has just lifted everyone massively, and just. I thought it would be, it takes a bit more time to get to the position we're at now in terms of the level of performances we're putting in. And we'll come on obviously into the Man United game in a second, but to put in that performance against a top team, it's just outstanding for me, honestly, to get that kind of performance out of the team so early on in the season, where we've had to semi changes, play with a new formation. We've beaten big teams before, but we've never been so dominant against big teams. And I think that is the big difference for me. That's something that I've not seen from a Villa side since probably the mid to late 90s. And that's
And once we
that's
take
the
our
one.
chances, once we can start taking our chances,
exactly.
because
Exactly.
you look at Chelsea, we didn't take our chances. United, we didn't take our chances. We got punished at Chelsea, but we managed to hang in there against United. But we could have been Villarreal. I mean, they could have been 5 or 6 up at half time. We could have been 2 or 3 up at half time on Saturday, and we didn't take our chances. And like I said, once I think Ings and Watkins are starting to sort of understand each other's game, and where we're lacking in goals from them. We're certainly not lacking in work rate. And you look at Ings' assist for Bailey's second, and even on Saturday it was a lovely layoff to Luis, and then Luis sprayed that ball into Watkins' path, and probably again should have scored. But Ings is certainly, I think someone tweeted saying they didn't realize what a good footballer Danny Ings was.
He's a clever player,
very, very clever, and still got a lot of pace. Still very quick. So, like I say, once they start gelling, once we get Bailey fit, once we get that front three, and once Buendia, I think Buendia is still finding his feet as well. Once it clicks, we're only going to get better. We're only going to get better.
I was quite impressed with Buendia actually, on because I've been the same, Dolan, as you, saying, Buendia, I'm just waiting for him to be that £38 million player, which is probably a little bit harsh.
Very early days.
It is
very early.
Where does he fit into this new formation? Because currently he isn't getting into the team.
Yeah, I thought he, when he came on, he looked really good against Man United. I think he changed the dynamic of the game a little bit when he came on, and he was unlucky with obviously Jacob Ramsey slipping.
Sniper Jacob Ramsey. That's the only thing he's got to watch out for at the moment. The snipers in the crowd.
Did a Wesley there.
Yeah.
But I think Buendia can, depending on how we're playing, how the game's going, he could still play in that formation, but maybe in Ramsey's position. I think
that's probably the plan in that formation, but you can't take Jacob Ramsey out at the moment. You can't take any of those midfielders out. That Manchester United game was a very, very astute performance from us. And one of the main reasons was those 3 midfielders, because the balance was so good. You looked at us and we just looked like a team. You looked at Manchester United and it was just a bunch of individuals that had been thrown together on a football pitch. Very, very talented individuals, but get told to go out there and see what you can do. Villa went out there with a plan, with a cohesive system that brought the best out of players. And Dean Smith tactically, Dolan, got it spot on again. And, we last season you watched us, and I'm not for 1 minute, I think I've said this before, not for 1 minute saying selling Jack Grealish is a great thing, because he's a fantastic footballer, a world-class footballer. But I was watching us on Saturday and just sat there thinking, we are a far better team now. We wouldn't have gone to Manchester United. I mean, to be fair, actually, we did go to Manchester United and play very well last year, but we lost 2-1. But it's just more that it was all around giving the ball to Jack. Let's see what Jack can do. But you watch us on Saturday, people are stepping up. Everyone's stepping up, and we just look a far, far better team.
Yeah. I mean, listen, sometimes you need to lose players of, when we were reliant on Grealish so heavily, then you're not gonna really come out of your shell and fulfill your full potential. And we saw that like the back end of last season when he was out, we really struggled. We had some absolute stinkers. Sheffield's, United's, West Brom. We had some really, really bad results, bad performances as well. And even Dean Smith came out and said, I think the players were just waiting for Jack to come back. And for me, I don't know. Like, listen, I missed the guy, and I still find it tough to see him in a City shirt. But it just feels like the weight of the clubs, sort of there was such a huge weight, because we were just trying to please him, because he's so good and so talented, and he was by far and away, he just outgrown us. So I kind of feel now we can build properly and as you say, build a real team, build a proper team. And honestly, like they just look so well coached. They just look really well coached, really well drilled. Everyone knows, and to come in and play a formation that we haven't predominantly played under Smith at all, within 3 games against Chelsea, Everton, and United, all top sides, to kind of pretty much just, we were incredible against Chelsea, and I wasn't one for I wasn't a big lover of the formation personally, but again,
you really were you?
Again, prove wrong, completely prove wrong, and what do I know really? about the club and about the players. Nothing. Like, I'm not there. We don't see what goes on a day-to-day basis. And we spoke at the top of the show about bringing in a CDM. Well, we don't need one. But when you got players like Jacob Ramsey and coming through the club, and we just don't need one. So for me, I'd much rather invest 50 million quid in in the stadium. Much rather invest 50 million quid into the academy. Invest it in the club, in the city, instead of investing it in something that we don't need. So I think at the minute our team picks itself, but unlike last season, we've got so many options that we can bring off the bench. Such a threat, such a depth. And when we get Bailey and Stanson back there, we're just going to get even better. So I fancy us on Sunday. I think we might do a little cheeky 2-1. We went there last season when they were, again, the fans. There was about 10,000 of them, but the fans were not happy at all with Levy and the club, and things just haven't. Things haven't got any better, and they've obviously started the season quite well, first 3 games, but they were a shambles on Sunday. And unfortunately, when you pick a manager who's probably 6th choice, the players are going to know that, and he's going to know that, and the fans know that. So it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult spell for them at the minute. I think they're going through what we went through with Grealish. Kane just doesn't want to be there, and his body language, his demeanor is just filtering through the club and the fan base. And like I said, if we can get our noses in front on Sunday and go one up, I really expect us to go on and win.
Omar, do you think 3-5-2? It kind of felt at the time that we did it to kind of go against Chelsea playing 3 at the back, because we didn't obviously start the season with 3 at the back. Do you think it just worked so well at Chelsea and then we won with it the next game at Everton that we kind of not stumbled upon it, because I think it would have been a plan to play it for certain games, but now it does feel like the formation that we should go with pretty much every week?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think we're going to be too bedded to one formation this season. I think it's going to be very much not just through games as well. I think changes in form. So other people mentioned what we can do about the wingers, because obviously we spent so much money on them. Are they going to get involved in games? Well, yeah, I think for now 3-5-2 works, because we can get 3 in midfield and we can get 2 up front. But I don't think we'll be playing it the whole season. I think Dino's very much going to change it. Horses for courses is a phrase that he's used so far in these last few weeks, and I think that's the way that we're going to go down at this present time. But the other players sitting on the bench, they'll get their chance to shine, I'm sure, whether it's off the bench or whether it's when we change it up, because inevitably we won't win every single game. There's going to come a time where
it's not the attitude at all, Omar.
No, I'm just being realistic. It's the way football works, and we just need to be cognizant of that, because we saw it last season. We obviously went on an amazing run, then we had a bit of a bad patch, and that will happen. That happens in football, and at that point, maybe we'll see changes. Maybe we'll see a change in formation. I think different teams will suit the 3-5-2. Different teams will maybe suit the 4-4-2 or whatever formation we choose. So I don't think we'll be bedded, but I think for the foreseeable future, definitely for the Spurs game, I think we'll play 3-5-2. I think it works well. The players are well bedded into that system, and it's working well. Why change it? But I don't think Dean's, unlike last season when it was very much a rigid formation and a slight deviation from that in different games. But I think this time he will change it up as and when required, depending on who's fit. And we'll get injuries and things like that, suspension. So he will have to change it at some point. But these players like Buendia, Bailey, Traore, we've seen them do amazing things off the bench already. We never had that last season. So whilst they may not be starting, they're still impacting games. And I think as long as players are coming on impacting games and making a difference, then they will remain happy. Obviously, it's a headache for Dino, but that's the kind of headache you want. And we saw on against Man United the difference players make. But I think the big thing the different players make from the bench. But I think the big thing is competition for places. It brings everyone's levels up. I think that's what we've seen. I think the fact that we've got competition throughout the team now. Yeah. We've got good backups throughout the team. I think everyone's raising the level, because they know, they don't do well. They have a couple of bad games and there's someone there ready to take their place, fighting and chopping in a bit. And I think that's raised levels massively. But I think there's been a number of players that have been impressive through in that 3-5-2 formation. I think it brings the best out of Matty Cash, especially.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
He's been brilliant. Here's a stat for you. I've never heard of this stat before. It's called expected threat.
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of that before?
No, it sounds very made up.
Yeah, it is. I think it's Villa Analytics who posted it. It's a metric designed to show how much open play actions improve a team's chances of scoring. So basically, they impact on a team in terms of creating chances and having the ability to score goals. And he's ranked 8th in the league so far. I don't know how they measure it. I don't know how
the whole league.
8th of the whole league. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of former Villa players in there, including including Ashley Westwood, surprisingly. Jack Grealish, Ruben Diaz, Mason Mount, Alexander Arnold, and Cash is right up there as well. So it's a weird stat. I've never heard that one before, but it's an interesting one. I think a better stat is that I think he's created the most chances, so most goal creating actions from dead ball situations as well. So
because of his throw-ins.
Yeah,
they're basically down to throw-ins, isn't it?
Actually, down to throw-ins, yeah. So I think he gets the best out of him, that formation, not because of the throw-ins, but I think him getting up and down the pitch. He's obviously a wide. He was a wide midfielder originally, yeah. So he's an excellent crosser. I've always said it. He's got such good delivery. We've seen it so many times from him. He just hasn't had that much of an opportunity because we've tended to play our fullbacks quite deep and let the wingers do the work. With Jack especially being in that team. I think now you've seen him get forward. I suppose conversely on that, I think Matty Targett struggled a little bit going forward. Defensively, he's been excellent.
He's getting better. He's improving. His fitness is getting better way by week.
He's improving. But I expect more from Matty Targett because I know how good his ability is on the ball in terms of his passing and his crossing. And I think it will come. I'm sure it will come. But I think they just suit that kind of formation, those two. And I think again, McGinn has got the best out of McGinn as well, that formation, because he's got that freedom to roam and press as well. He's so good at pressing that it allows him to stay high up the pitch. Last year he didn't have the best of seasons. He had good moments and good games, but I don't think it was his best season. But that's because obviously he was playing quite deep in a different position. Whereas this, I think, this formation does get the best out of him. But I'm sure there'll be different times and different games where we change it up. Leon Bailey, as we've seen him play left wing back, maybe he'll come in and play that position. Who knows? Maybe we'll play with one up front and play attacking midfielders. I don't know. I think it's open for debate, but I think Dino will adjust in it. And with the new coaches that we got as well, we're thinking in different ways. They're trying to be dynamic in the way that they think. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why Richard Kelly left and we brought in these new coaches, because they're maybe a bit more modern and they're thinking a bit more dynamic, like I said. So yeah, really, really, either way, I'm comfortable with what formation they play. I think there's a lot of thought going into it. So 3-5-2 for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we change it up in the near future anyway, depending on opposition.
I think that might have been the longest monologue that we've ever had.
Sorry, how long did I go on for?
Felt long. I say Dolan itching to get back in. Dolan 3 at the back.
I'll stay quiet now.
No. It feels like 3 at the back. Maybe one of the reasons that we started playing is because Axel's been brought in on loan to play. We don't want to break up Mings and Konsa. So you play 3 at the back and Axel comes in. He gets all 3 of them into the team. And that competition for places again, Courtney Hawes comes in and he does brilliant. So now Axel's missed a game through it being against his parent club and he's probably not going to get back in. So it's a healthy position to be in. I mean, we presume Hawes will play and I presume you would pick him for this game.
I would, he wants to play. You can see he's been a little bit frustrated. His media company released a video after the Chelsea game with like a montage of tweets. I think your tweet was in there. I don't
think it was actually, but he replied to a tweet, and he replied to a tweet.
Yeah, but he just wants to play, man, and he was outstanding on Sunday. He was brilliant against Chelsea in the cup last week as well. Although Twinsaby just put a story up on his Instagram there a few hours ago saying like, thank you for the love.
I think people are reading way too much into this post. It's just a post saying thank you. People are acting like he's leaving. That Man U could. I don't know what the situation is with his loan, but I know that he can't be pulled back until January because it's not a transfer window. You can only be pulled back from a loan in a transfer window. You know, he's not going anywhere.
No,
it's just that we've got him for the season as far as I know.
If he's thanking us, then
he's just enjoying the support. Yeah. He loves it. Tuanzebe absolutely loves playing for Villa. He did when he was on loan last time. He looks happy. Didn't look happy at Manchester United.
Yeah, I agree. But at the minute, that's why you have big squads. At the minute, he doesn't get in. House has to keep his place. He has to. We'll see that again. But that's the beauty of having a top squad. And when you want to progress to be a top 6, top 8 team, then you're going to have 2 good players in pretty much every position. And we're very lucky that we've got 4 really, really, really good centre backs, all at a great age, all English.
Yeah.
And it's a great problem to have. But for me, as you say, Courtney Hawes has to keep his place for sure.
Yeah. Do you think he will, Omar? I mean, Tuanzebe will be good to have just missed that one game and lose his place. But when someone's played as well as Hawes has done, and has never really let us down in general when he's come in, he's got to play, hasn't he? I mean, I think we've got a year's option left on his contract, so he's up at the end of the season, his contract, but I think Villa can choose to extend it by a year if they need to, which I presume they would do, but you think he'd get offered a new contract of some description because, as I say, he's done well. He seems happy to be at Villa, happy to be competing for a place, but that's the thing for him now, isn't it? Once you're in the team, you got to try and stay there.
Yeah, definitely, and I like his attitude as well. I don't know if you saw his post-match interview. He was talking about, we're Aston Villa, we've got some great players, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that attitude, and you're right. He's never let us down. He comes in the side, does a job, and comes out the side, and he never complains, never moans. He gets on with it and comes back and puts in a performance. So I think with him and Tuanzebe, it's a great competition as well. We've got 4 really good centre backs there, something we haven't had for a long time. I think with House, he's a better defender than Tuanzebe. I think Tuanzebe is better on the ball. I think he's one of our best players in terms of progressive passing, Tuanzebe. So I think when we're playing against better teams, maybe it's a case of House.
House can play. He can play. Yeah, he can play.
Well. I think he's probably the weakest out of all 4 in terms
on
of
the ball.
On the ball, yeah. But I think as a defender, I think he's just immense. He's so
set
strong.
Pieces, both ends. He's quality.
Quality. Yeah. He's always a threat. Heading ability. We saw against Lukaku as well. His strength as well. So I think he's been a fantastic buy. £3 million I think we paid for him, or something like that. It's amazing buy. And I think for me, House stays on the side because he's done a job against the top teams in the last couple of weeks, so he deserves his spot. But I won't be surprised when we play weaker opposition where we're more on the front foot and we need to impose ourselves in the game. Where if Tuanzebe does play, because he's better in terms of progressing the ball and getting it into midfield compared to House. But I think for now against Spurs, especially, I think they're winning. At the moment, they're probably rebuilt some of their confidence back from obviously the loss against Arsenal. Then I'd be surprised if House isn't starting. I would start him.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% certain that he will play. I've just been told Kane scored a hat trick so far this afternoon.
Well, hopefully that's his 3 goals.
I mean, who are they playing? I couldn't tell you who they're playing.
They were 500. They were 500 to 1 to win the game. So I wouldn't.
500 to 1 to win a football match.
Apparently so. That's what I was having a little mooch at the lineup on the Sky app, and I don't know if that was live.
I think that must be now. I think that probably is now if they're getting pumped.
This was a 2-1. They were 500 to 1.
They're playing Mura.
No, still the same odds, and it's 5-1. So yeah, from what Sky have said, they were 500 to win. 500 to 1. So I'll not be reading too much into Harry Kane hat trick. I'm sure the media will absolutely pissing themselves tonight over this hat trick. But I mean, no big worry.
I've no idea who Mura are.
No, I wouldn't even be able to say what country they're from. I mean, but to be fair, I was watching Sheriff beat Real Madrid the other night, and I didn't know where they were from either. There's all sorts going on. Their badge, by the way, is one of the best things I've ever seen. It looks like a piece of clip art off Microsoft Paint. And then it just
Really?
says Sheriff. It's literally a Sheriff's badge. That is literally what it is. Absolutely, man. I mean, there's a big
Slovenia.
controversy. There's a big controversy behind Sheriff, so I probably shouldn't laugh about it too much. Dolan, I did a podcast earlier, my Who Scored podcast, and I don't write the script for it. It's written by Who Scored. But one of the questions in there is a telling question and a great question as a Villa fan to read out. Are Villa now stronger than Spurs? Do Villa have a stronger squad than Spurs? I mean, I look at Spurs' central midfield, for example. It's pretty average. I know they've got Kane, I know they've got Son, but looking around the rest of the team, we've got too many players I'd want in the Villa team from the Spurs side.
Yeah, on form.
Even in general.
I don't know. I still think their squad's quite good. You know, you look at the bench tonight. Son, Dyer, Emerson Royale, Sanchez, Højbjerg, Tanganga.
Yeah, that's just because they're probably playing their kids against this team we've never heard of.
Yeah, but they've even got Ali, the Celso, Doherty's in there, Reguilon, Joe Root. I think
we're on the way, if anything.
Yeah, we're on the way for sure. Yeah, we're on the way for absolutely. And like I said a few weeks ago on the pod, we're only going to start adding 1 or 2 a season now. We're only going to start drip feeding in quality. We're not going to be. We don't have to rebuild. So the rebuild was when we first came up. We had the rebuild then, and we did it. But we're certainly on a par with Tottenham. We've got ourselves back at that table. You know, we're definitely at that table. I know Everton had a lot of players missing on that Saturday, but even our bench compared to Everton's that night was just miles ahead of them. So, listen, Spurs are a good team. They've got a really good squad. I just think with Spurs at the minute, I just think it's all down to personnel in terms of management and then the whole Harry Kane saga. But Spurs are still decent. But if we can just get at them, I just think they're confident. I just don't think they're a happy bunch. So I don't think it's a lack of quality. I just think it's more probably a lack of confidence, and they're probably lacking just that mental belief at the minute, because there's just not a great feeling around the club. I still think our starting 11 against United on paper on Saturday, like, you don't look at it and go, "My God, he's world class." We don't have a world class footballer at the club. I don't think
Jacob Ramsey. Hello.
Well, world class.
I'd say we've got a world class goalkeeper.
Yeah, we've got a world class keeper, but I don't think on paper we've got a world class. They've got world class players. Whereas for me,
Man Utd did have some.
They had 4 or 5. Really,
but it's the team. It's the way it's knitted. It's the way it's knitted together.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And if you know what you're doing and you know your role and you're confident, because listen, these guys they're all professional footballers playing at the highest level, so they're all capable. They're all capable of beating each other. But I don't look at our team on paper and go, that they are a team of world class names. But this is it. You said it perfectly at the start of the show. United are a team of individuals thrown on the pitch. Absolutely no sort of thought or plan. Tactics wise, I don't see an identity. I don't really know where they're going. So they're a bunch of world class players thrown on the pitch, and we aren't. We are a team, and we've got a team of players that want to play for the club and want to be there and want to play for the manager. And I think it's always going to be a recipe for success.
Yeah, Tottenham are a little bit like that actually as well. I watched them against Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal are no great shakes themselves, but they comfortably dominated Tottenham, which led me feeling very good going into this game. I really fancy us. It's dangerous. I think it's the kind of game, Omar, where if you can get off to a good start, even if you don't score, even if you can just try and dominate the game, put them under a bit of pressure, that crowd's going to get antsy because they've lost three in a row now, I think, in the league. That crowd's going to turn. It did last season when we got on top of them. This is a great chance to go to a big away ground and get another 3 points.
Yeah, I'm really confident. And as you probably recall, I was very confident about Man United game as well.
You were, yeah, you were.
I don't remember that. Is that what happened?
I said we're due one. I said we're going to win.
Oh, well, we've been due one for about the last 100 years against Manchester United.
You say it enough, it's going to be right eventually, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
But I'm not you. I'm very confident against Spurs. I think I don't really understand the appointment that they've made, because he's a very defensive manager.
And there's no one else.
Well,
I know, I get that, but they it's a bit like Villa back under Randy Lerner. when Martin O'Neill left. There's no sense of direction, no idea or type of manager, the type of philosophy you want to have. They're looking at certain managers and then changing completely to a different type of manager.
Well, they got the director of football for Conte.
Yeah.
And then didn't hire Conte.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
it didn't really work. But that was the reason that director of football came in. Whatever they say, 100%, that was the reason.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Spurs can be got at as well. They're playing a style of football that their players not used to. And I do think Spurs have a good squad. You know, I think Højbjerg especially is a player I would take.
Honestly, yeah, but I honestly think we are level, if not better.
No, I don't know about that, but I think I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that because I think obviously we've got to see what happens throughout the season. I think it's easy to say
at this point.
At this point, you know, yeah, obviously we're better, but I think you need to see it. But I definitely think the gap that we've managed to close in such a short amount of time is absolutely massive. It's just massive. It's ridiculous. With Arsenal, Everton, Spurs, West Ham, you know, these teams were Leicester. 2 or 3 years ago. Leicester were far above us and way ahead of us. And Wolves we've surpassed. You know, the Wolves fans have had a few years of glory. But I think the Spurs can be got at. I think they play a very methodical style, very sanguine style, and I think there's a stat going around that I saw that we attack with the most so measure a direct speed. So again, a weird stat for you. I'm gonna go again.
It's a statty cash tonight. Loves the stat.
I like that statty cash. That's probably one of the best things you've ever said on this podcast.
Yeah. I was gonna go statty target, but I went statty cash. Had a nicer ring to it.
So it's a measure, and this is where I think we've been effective. So we talk about a team game and how we play. It's a measure of how quickly a team progresses the ball upfield. And again, one of the stat pages I saw, I can't remember which one. I need to look through again. Which one it was? I was Villa Analytics. It was a repost of Opta.
Getting a lot of shouts tonight, Villa Analytics. Getting a lot of shout outs.
Yeah, enjoy. But it shows you how we're attacking and how we're playing. We're just very, very attack minded, very direct. But direct, not like last season where we were launching it forward and then hoping Watkins gets the ball down and Grealish is in a forward position and then we attack from there. It's playing through the middle, it's playing through midfield and getting runners off the ball. And that's something we've not seen from Villa side for a long time. And I think that kind of style of football is very effective against a side like Spurs, who are very, like I said, you've seen it against Arsenal. You know, there's just a really weird style of football they're playing at this moment, where it's a bit like Wolves, where they would very much build very slowly and be very defensively organised, but sort of teeter around the edges and not play progressive passes, quick passes, and move around quickly.
Just on that note about progression, I'm so fed up with fans saying that we need to bring in a bigger name manager if we want to go to the next level. I mean,
no way.
The player like Dean Smith makes football players better. There you go. End of story. You know what that guy has done for us is incredible. I think Bud put a tweet up of the league position this time 4 years ago.
Yeah, we were like 15th in the championship or something.
We were behind Bolton, in the championship, and it is unbelievable. And listen, football's a very fickle game. It is what it is, and I'm sure if Twitter was around back in the 90s or back in whenever, then the people would have been saying the same thing about other managers that went on to have great careers.
Yeah.
But for me, Dean Smith just makes players better. And again, if somebody said to me today, do you want Conte at Villa or do you want to stick with Dean Smith? Dean Smith all day long. I want to go down this route of people that want to be at our football club. It's like, we spoke about the system and youth setup. I want players that want to be at our football club. I don't want, it's like Ancelotti at Everton. It was never the right fit. It was never going to work.
No.
Didn't want to be there. It's just the wrong fit. And we were kind of losing our minds when Everton got Ancelotti in, and he didn't do anything. He brought in James Rodriguez, he was costing them probably the guts 180,000 a week or whatever, and didn't want to be there. Didn't even know who they were playing. And he's out the club. And for me, Dean Smith is honestly, he is one of the most underrated managers in this country, if not in Europe. The way he plays, the level of detail, even as a man, he's an absolute gentleman. And
man management, he's unreal.
Unbelievable. And for someone to represent our football club, to have him, we are so privileged and so lucky to have a man like Dean Smith representing our football club as a Villa fan as well. Everything about him, he's just a class act. And yeah, I just thought I'd sort of get that out there because it does bug me occasionally when
I wouldn't. I
when you
genuinely
read.
wouldn't worry about it. But
Yeah,
people, it's social media. It's social media
yeah,
in
I
the
know
main.
it is,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, of course.
Well,
But we all read it.
the
We all read it,
yeah.
and it does annoy you when you read, when you read such thing. But I just think for me, he makes players better. End of. His man management is second to none, and he plays a great brand of football. What else do you want? The guy's worked absolute miracles.
And
I
brings
remember,
youth in as well.
and youth, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
taken a little bit of time, but I think that's just because Villa's youth system wasn't right
Yeah.
when he first came in. It's taken years to get that right. I remember doing the Villa View live when we got promoted, Dolan.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, whatever happens, I want Dean Smith to be here for the next 4 or 5 years and being given time. That's kind of coming to fruition now. If you gave him that time, I reckon by the end of it, we'll be a top 6 Premier League club. I think season upon season, there's been progress. I think there'll be progress again this year, Omar. I think he does just deserve a huge amount of credit, and he's a great bloke as well, which is can be rare.
Yeah, amazing bloke. Just got the right principles. A good way of judging a manager, I think, is always their post-match comments.
He's always very honest.
Not in terms of, exactly, and I think there's very rarely where I listen to him speak after a game and go, "No, I don't agree with that. I think that's completely wrong. I think you're talking, you're talking nonsense."
Like some of Bruce's towards the end of his time.
Yeah,
he said all sorts.
Well, even at the beginning of his time, yeah, he said all sorts. We've seen it with even Martin Neal. We've seen it. We've seen it with all types of managers. I think, and I think that is a great sign of him. I think that he's a very humble man. He knows his strengths. Yeah. He knows his weaknesses, and a sign of a good manager. You see it not just in football, but in the world of business or the world of whatever industry you're in. The sign of a good manager is that they surround themselves with the right people.
But he's also transformed. He's also transformed Brentford as well, bringing in Thomas Frank as his assistant. And now look at Brentford. He set that. He set that.
He does
DNA.
still get a lot of credit from the Brentford fans. They especially on the Athletic. If you read the Brentford pieces, they give Dean Smith a lot of credit still.
And you think of the players that he's bought over the years, and we talk about. Listen. One thing about Bruce, I'll always say, Bruce can buy a player. He can pick a player. Don't get me wrong. He bought Robertson at Hull. He bought Maguire. He bought in McGinn for us. He's unearthed Joe Willock as a talent. I think Maxim. I think Bruce has a very good ability to. He's got a good eye for a player. But again, you look at Dean Smith and the players he brought in at Brentford: Mopai, Benrahma, Watkins,
Konsa.
And there's so many more that I've missed out there. So many more, but he created that. He got that the DNA of that football club. That was him. The reason they're in the Premier League is because of him. He got that club on the right track, left them in a really, really healthy position, brought in Thomas Frank as assistant. Look at the job he's done. Incredible job, absolutely incredible job. But he took over a club that was in such a healthy position with such a talented squad of players, and he didn't have to do much. Thomas Frank, he just had to carry on with what Smith had left him, and he's obviously, I think Thomas Frank's been a breath of fresh air this season. I've always liked the guy. I think he's a really top manager. And sad to say, I think in a few years he might be at a top 6, top 8 club. But yeah, so again, not only has he transformed Villa's fortunes, but he's completely transformed Brentford as well. So incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Dolan's got to go shortly because his mother-in-law is due to arrive. So let's end quickly with the big question. So obviously, Emi Martinez had his penalty antics last week. You absolutely love to see it. Absolutely putting Fernandes under the mill, put him under so much pressure, and he blazes his penalty over Old Trafford pretty much. So where do you two think Emi Martinez ranks as a Premier League goalkeeper for Villa at the moment?
At the moment, I think if you ask that question at the start of next season, I think you'd probably have to say if he carries up the level of form this season as he did last season, I think he's got to be up there with one of the greats for us. Again,
he's top 3 now, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, Bosnet's
probably top 3.
Bosnet's Friedel and Martinez for me.
I agree. Yeah. I'd have him at 2 actually. I'd have him at 2 already.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's right up there with Bozzy for me.
Going to take a lot to beat Bozzy for me.
Yeah.
Nice guy as well. Good guy, Bozzy.
Martinez has actually got the best clean sheet percentage record as well for the Premier League.
Maybe he's statty cash again.
I think it's about 41.86.
How do you know? Where have you got that in front of you? Where have you pulled that from?
Analytics.
I told you I came prepared.
Yeah, he's got Villa Analytics. His page up.
This was actually
this computer screen.
This is AVFC Stato that had this.
He follows all the follows all the stat.
Well,
guys.
I thought I'd bring stats to the proceeding
Nice.
this week because just change it up. But yeah, he's
AJ's there. I agree with that order.
Yeah. But for me, Bozzy, Martinez, Friedel, 100%. Can I give you a quick trivia question to end?
If Dolan's got time, I'm here for
Dolan,
it.
you got quick time.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like the trivia though, Dolan. He doesn't. I don't think he likes the trivia.
We got Spurs obviously coming up away. My first ever away game was Spurs away.
Okay.
And I walked in and I saw Nigel Rio-Coker score straight away.
I was at that game.
Yeah. So we won 2-1. Rio-Coker young for us.
Yeah.
Which player scored for Spurs?
Bent.
Yeah, well done.
Didn't even.
Supposed to give him some I was
at the game. I remember it.
All right. Yeah,
it was a rare away victory for me. We never bloody won when I'm away.
Talking about goalkeepers, that was Aurelio Gomez, wasn't it?
Yeah, he made a mistake. He should have saved Youngs.
Yeah, Young was great. That game.
Clanger.
Great game.
Yeah. We had 2 or 3 seasons. Remember the 4-4 game away at Spurs? That was outrageous. And then we beat them. Yeah, we had a good run there. Remember that game? I think it was 4-2 or 4-3. Graham Fenton scored an absolute worldly.
But yeah, you're going back there. I do remember it.
95, 96.
94, 95, that was.
Yeah, Fenton, absolute worldly.
Here's a quiz question. Who was the manager that day?
Would it be John Gregory or Brian Little?
No, not 94, 95.
Oh, would Atkinson?
Nope.
It wasn't.
It was Jim Barron, caretaker manager. That's who it was. One game, 100% record. Jim Barron, I think.
Jim Barron.
Yeah, I think he was there. I think he was the only manager. That was his only game as manager.
That's a great quiz question. I might use that on my pod later.
You can have that. Take that tonight when you do your pod after.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Are you doing tomorrow? Try and take it. Hopefully, no one else has listened.
Mother-in-law
we've got to go. I've got to go. Mother-in-law wants a cuppa. Dolan's on cup of tea. In a Villa View mug. Yeah, we're still selling mugs. If we are still selling mugs, please visit our store and buy some mugs, John McGinn mugs. If you fancy it, there may be a few Jack Grealish mugs on there still. Those you probably don't want to buy those, but there's still some others knocking around. So yeah, have a look. Also have a look on the Luke Roper store as well and use the discount code TVV20 if you want to get 20% off the Luke Roper goods. I said earlier, you can pretend to be a racing car driver like me. Kind of look a little bit like I've got the helmet on tonight as well. You're not having it.
Few rumours as a wig, mate. I've heard.
Has my hair been again stick in the comments again? I know, Dolan. No, not today. A few years ago. No,
not today. Just
not
me.
today. That's good. Yeah, lovely stuff then. That does us. Thanks ever so much for tuning in and thanks to the guys for talking to me for the last hour as well. We will be back with a post-match point either on Sunday or Monday, depending on whether I get to the game or not. So hopefully Monday night we'll be doing the post-match point because hopefully I will be at Spurs on Sunday. Fingers crossed. So take care. Have a good rest of the evening and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.